Okay, so we're recording, and we have the lovely Megan Davies, the creator of Clean Week and the winner of the 20s. Yay! And she's going to talk to us. I just told some of you what she's going to talk to us about, but she's going to tell her story, which is super amazing. If you haven't been able to listen to it after your workout, because I know she comes on when you're done working out, it's pretty awesome. And she's going to talk about why they created Clean Week, what was the motive behind that, and a little bit about why it's great for our new catalog to be added to it. So go ahead, Megan.
Okay. Well, hi guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your Friday night. But I love doing these calls and like talking to you guys and getting to know you guys. It's a lot of fun for me. This is like a crazy whirlwind of an experience for me. But basically my whole fitness journey started very young, and I was, just pretty much the only fit person in my family. And I kind of use the term fit loosely. I was just physically fit because I had the same horrible eating habits as the rest of my family. To us, a diet consisted of like fat-free Hot Pockets and diet soda. So I pretty much watched my family kind of go on the roller coaster that a lot of families go on, where they, gain weight and then they lose weight by, weird fad diets and kind of crash dieting and spending hours in the gym. And then they can't maintain that, so they start that cycle back up again. So that's kind of what I saw my family doing growing up a lot. And it didn't occur to me that, anything was wrong. That was all I knew. But I was outworking the bad habits because I was so active. I didn't really have some of the, ailments that the rest of my family was going through. But it still affected me in different ways, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So as I was growing up, I was a dancer and a gymnast, and when I got to be about 14 years old is when I decided I was going to do my first figure and fitness competition. And so I was pretty young when I decided to do that. And I was lucky enough to have a really awesome coach, somebody who not only showed me like how to do something, but why I was doing it. And so they really taught me a lot as I was going through kind of learning how to work out and weight training and everything like that. My dad had always been interested in working out and bodybuilding mainly. He was more, am I still here? Okay. He was, always going through that cycle, but he was like an athlete growing up. The sun is going right in my eyes. It's distracting me. He was an athlete growing up. He played semi-pro football. So when he was younger, he was overweight, and then he lost a bunch of weight, became an athlete, and then, life gets in the way. He got a job and family and started on that cycle again. So at one point, he was at one of my shows, at one of my fitness competitions, and he was sitting in the audience with the rest of my family. And at the time, he was 47 years old. He had a 42-inch waist. And he was just sitting in the audience watching me do a figure and fitness competition and the rest of the bodybuilders and things that were getting on stage that night. And so I went out into the audience and I was sitting there with them for a while, and I just turned to him and I said, Daddy, I feel so sorry for you. And he was like, you feel sorry for me? What do you mean you feel sorry for me? And I just said, at the time it wasn't about him being overweight. He's guessing at that time he was about 100 pounds overweight, but he stopped getting on the scale long before that. So it's just kind of a rough estimate. But it wasn't about that. For me, it was just that I knew at some point in his life he was athletic. I knew that he's interested in weight training, but here I am, the one with the trainer, getting all the help I need to be on stage, and he wasn't doing it for himself. He wasn't living the life that, he wanted to live, and his best life, and doing the things that he loved. So that's really what it was about for me, is kind of stopping and just being I feel so sorry for you. And, everybody needs that aha moment, that moment that kind of pushes them into making a change in their life. And that was his aha moment. Wow, my daughter feels sorry for me because I'm not willing to do what it takes to make sure I'm taking care of myself. So at that moment, in front of our entire family, he announced that by the time he was 50, in 3 years, that he wanted to be on that stage doing a bodybuilding show. And my family is all super supportive. We always are together and pushing each other and things like that. But I know that there was some of my members of my family that were just like, okay, we've seen this roller coaster before. We'll see how long it lasts this time, how long this crash diet lasts again. But the only difference was now I was kind of inundated in the health and fitness field. And I kind of knew at least some basic steps into working out and starting being more active and things like that. And so it wasn't such a weird transition anymore. He had more support at home because I was there doing all the things with him, like meal prepping and things like that. On the other hand, I knew nothing about the nutrition side of it. I only knew about working out. And my nutrition at the time, getting my body fat down so low and everything for these competitions, my nutrition at this point was just hearsay. Like I would hear about people like, oh, you should do this and you should do that at these different shows I was at. And I was like, okay, I'll pick a little bit of here and there and I'm going to make my own diet up for these shows, which was working for doing the shows. But at one point I was on a treadmill doing cardio with one of my friends getting ready for the show, and I went to go fix my ponytail and kind of ran my fingers through my hair, and a chunk of my hair came out because my body fat had gotten down so low because I had cut down my healthy fat so low. My hair was falling out. So obviously even though I was physically fit and I looked healthy on the outside, I definitely had a lot to learn on the other hand, on the fitness and nutrition side of it. So that was kind of a real eye-opener for me, is that here my dad is, trying to lose weight, but here I am on the other end of the spectrum as far as physical fitness goes, and I still need to learn about that nutrition too. Like everybody needs that component of it. So we started learning about that together and doing the meal prepping together and all that good stuff. And then, of course, my mom sees us doing it. She's like, well, if you guys are going to do it, then I want to do it too. And then my brother jumped in and was like, well, I might as well. Like, if you guys are going to do it, I might as well do it too. So then it really just became like this family affair. And I think that's so important. Like Beachbody is having this big push for the families. We have Tony Horton's program coming out too next month. And just having that support network at home where the whole family is doing it together, there's no reason for people not to be doing that together. I own a gym now, and I'm going to talk about that in a second too, but I have people all the time coming in like, well, I'm going to do it, but my husband's not going to do it with me, or vice versa. Or I want you to train my kid, but we're not going to do it. And I'm like, that's not how this works. Like everybody has to do it together. There's no other option, basically, is what I say to them. So that was a huge part of my story, is kind of pulling people in along with me on my fitness journey, because after my family got fit and my dad did get on stage by the time he was 50, his goal was not to embarrass himself at his bodybuilding show, and he ended up winning his men's over 50 masters division. I got to go on stage and give him his trophy. So it was a really cool moment for us as a family, like kind of the pinnacle of like, okay, we've all made this change, and like this successful moment for him. And after that, we just had friends and family coming to us like, okay, well, you guys made this big change, what can we do? And so we started training people in our garage, just family and friends. We would hold like little seminars to show them what to eat in our living room. And it was all for free. It was just because, we wanted to help them and share what we learned with them. And we actually at one point would do P90X in the garage. We would like invite a bunch of friends and family over that were working out with us in the garage and have a big group once a week. And we would play P90X and we would do that workout in the garage together. So it's funny how it all comes full circle. But after we started training people, I went off to school. I went to the University of Central Florida. And then that's where I started actually training people for my job. I started working in the health club there and training everybody from students to teachers, anybody I could get my hands on, basically, all ages, shapes, sizes. So it was a really cool experience. And the first time I was like, wow, I can actually do this as a job. Like, this is awesome. So I went home, and of course, instead of going into my field of what I realized that I love, training people, I got a desk job. And I sat at my desk job staring at a computer screen and typing away every single day. And I was just like, man, like, I remember looking out the window every single day, like, I hate this. And it was a fine job. I got paid well. I liked the people I worked with. Like, everything was fine except for I didn't like just sitting there. And I knew that there was like this other thing that I had a huge passion for. So instead, I just continued training people at night in my garage. And then I got a second job, managing another small gym in the area. So I would literally get up at like 4:30 in the morning. I would go to my first job for most of the day. Then I would leave there, go to my second job, learn like the ins and outs of managing a gym. And then I would go home and train people in my garage. So it was like 4:30 till like 10 o'clock at night. And then I would go to sleep and get up and do it all again the next day. And I was really only doing that because that ending part of my day was the thing that I loved to do. Like the beginning part of my day was just kind of like, we got to get through this. And we had more and more people coming into the garage. And we eventually moved into a park. We had so many people coming into the park that one day my dad called me at work and was like, you know, we have a lot of people working out with us now. We've talked about possibly like using this as a business, but I stumbled across this small facility that would probably be perfect for a gym. Do you want to come look at it with me today? And I'm like, I'm in the middle of my workday. I can't just leave and go open a gym today. Like, no, I can't go. But I was like, well, I might as well ask if I can leave. So I asked my boss and she was like, oh yeah, sure. See you tomorrow. And I was like, oh, okay. And I left that day. We looked at the facility and it was just like one of those moments that, you know, you're in the right place at the right time. And so I ended up signing a lease that day, emptying my bank account. We moved like what little equipment we had in my parents' garage into this facility, you know, and just painted all weekend. And by Monday we had a gym, and then we were like, oh crap, what have we done? Like, these people have been getting workouts for free at this point. Who knows if they're actually going to like pay? And now we have overhead. You know, we were like so scared at that point. But I think they saw what we were trying to do there, which was just pull people along with us on our fitness journey, do it out of just loving people and caring for people and wanting to see them have a healthier lifestyle so they could, you know, do so many more things in their lives and the things that they wanted to do. So I think that they saw that, and that's why people started joining. And we went from, you know, that it was 1,000 square feet at first, and then the next year we were in 2,000 and then 4,000 square feet. So it just kept growing really fast. And so we've had the gym now for 6 years, and my mom is our office manager and knows more about Facebook and marketing than I can probably ever know. And my dad, my brother, and myself are all trainers there. And so we get to work with each other every day and do what we love. About, 2 years ago now, I got the call asking me if I wanted to be on a reality show. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I have no interest in being on a reality show. There's workers outside. I was like, absolutely not. I don't want to be on a reality show. And they said, well, please, you know, it's for this company called Beachbody. And for doing the workouts with Tony Horton before in my garage, I actually had no idea what Beachbody was. I knew of P90X. Another story, I actually met Tony Horton once upon a time. I got to spend the day with him, so still knew who Tony Horton was, what P90X was, 21-day fix, but I just didn't have all the puzzle pieces, and I didn't know what Beachbody was. And so they were like, it's this company called Beachbody, and I was like, I don't care. I don't want to do a reality show. So they called me again. They actually ended up calling me 3 times before I was like, okay, I'll put in these videos that you want. There was like 10 little videos where we had to answer questions and, you know, demo things and stuff. So I put in all the videos and I was like, I'm never going to hear about this again. It doesn't even matter. And a couple months go by, and then they call me again and say, hey, we're moving you forward in this process. And I'm like, what, this Beachbody thing? Like, what are we talking about here? And that's when I finally like looked it up. And of course, the first thing that comes up is Tony Horton. And I'm like, oh, Beachbody. Like, I need to take this seriously. So then I just started kind of like being gung-ho about it. I ended up getting into the house, and the actual reality show is called The 20s. You guys can still watch it on Beachbody On Demand. And it just kind of shows, there was initially 20 of us, they cut it down to 11 people, and we all moved into the house. And it shows us doing challenges and us interacting in the house. And really what Beachbody was looking for was our personalities, like who we are as a trainer and what we would be able to bring to Beachbody that was a little bit different from the current trainers that you guys have. And so by the end of it, they picked 3 people that they kind of narrow it down to. And the one thing that somebody watching the 20s probably doesn't know is that they filmed 3 different endings. So when you see it at the end when I won, we actually had to film 3 different endings at that point. So we didn't know who won until that episode was aired, and it was very mean. They walked in, I think we were filming for 2 months, and the very last day when they're going to announce the winner, they bring the 3 of us into a room, and somebody from Beachbody comes in and says, "Hey guys, so we're actually not going to announce the winner today. We're going to film a different ending for each of you." And we're like, what? And so that's what we did. I had to film 2 endings where I lost and 1 where I won. And that was, let's see, February. We filmed all of April, May. So it was like at the end of May, and that episode didn't air until October. So all that time I knew I was in the final 3, but didn't know if I won or not. And they finally aired the episode. Carl actually called me right before they aired the episode and told me that I won. And I don't even remember what I did. I think I just covered my face and like squealed for God knows how long. Carl was like, "Did I make the wrong decision?" Like, but yeah, I was so excited. And then we had to get started moving really fast. With my kind of announcement into Beachbody, it was a little bit backwards because usually it's like, here's the program and the new trainer, and this is what we're going to have in a few months. And with me, it was like, here's the new trainer, and we'll see what we're going to come out with. So we had to start moving fast. So Carl and I sat down last December to start talking about ideas. And the workouts that we had to make during the 20s, my workouts were kind of a little bit more intense. They were fast paced. They were like a pyramid kind of workout. And so people came away from that saying, okay, she's going to make this athletic program. It's going to be more advanced and intense. And that's what I kept getting messages about. Like, can't wait for your program. It's going to be crazy. And I was just like, okay. But when Carl and I sat down, instead what we talked about was how I got started on my fitness journey, which was pulling these new people along with me and making them feel like they were part of, my family and our journey into fitness. And that's really where we wanted to go with this new program. And he had this idea for the concept of Clean Week for a long time, but the only reason he hadn't done it yet was because he needed a new trainer. And he needed somebody that, if one of the other trainers did this program, it's only going to funnel those people into a certain program. So instead, he wanted somebody new to be able to kind of open the doors into Beachbody and show people what Beachbody has to offer. If they're anything like me and they are brand new to Beachbody, I had no idea that all of these programs were under one roof. I had no idea that there was a nutrition component to each of them. I thought 21-day fix meant that you were going to, that we were telling people that we're going to completely transform their body in 21 days. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about doing multiple rounds. It's about learning. It's about, a progression. So I had no idea that all of those things were included. And so we figured that I would be the perfect person to be like, hey, here's all the things that I thought about Beachbody, and, it's so much more than that. So we came up with Clean Week. And going into it, we also knew that we wanted to still make them significant workouts. We didn't want people to think that they're kind of doing the baby program or anything like that. So we talked about just making the moves accessible to everybody, but still not making it so easy that some of the coaches wouldn't be able to do it and still say, I got in a good workout today from it. So we wanted to make it really significant workouts, but accessible moves for everybody to get in and out of. We wanted to make the meal plan super simple, and I'm not a cook by any means. I like keeping all of my food simple, so those are the meals that we tried to come out with in Clean Week. So you'll see there's some they're still not even complicated meals. They're still relatively simple meals in the front, and then if you go to the back, there's even some more meals that are just like super simple go-to things that you can have in your fridge that are ready to go. So the meal plan was super simple like that. I think the biggest difference is that we have an intensifier instead of a modifier. And that came about because I made the workouts at Beachbody, and they brought me a group of employees to test the workouts on. And so I had people of all different fitness levels in this room, and I should have known better because I train groups all the time at my gym. And I did the workout, and nobody wanted to do the modifier. And the modifier was what made it a beginner program or something accessible. And so I have this group of people, nobody wants to do the modifier, and at the end, they're all dropping like flies. They're telling me it's like insanity, it's too hard, we can't do this. They're like, this is not a beginner's program, you're gonna kill people. And I was like, oh man, so we went back to the drawing board. I kind of, made some adjustments. We went back the next day and the same thing happened. This isn't a beginner's program, it's too intense. So then I was like, you know what, if nobody's gonna do the modifier, I'm gonna make the modifier the base move, and then I'm gonna make it intensifier instead. That way everybody feels included at the base level, and if they wanna take it up a notch, they can take it up a notch. So the next day when we went in, all of a sudden it's like, I had a group of people doing the base move. A little while into the base move, I would say, here's the intensification if you want. I had a couple people that went for it right away. I had a couple people that went for it and then scaled it back down. And I had a couple of people that stayed at that base move. And by the end of the workout, everybody's like, wow, that was great. I feel like I got a good sweat on. I feel confident that I completed that entire workout. Some of the people that were kind of more beginner that got to try the intensifier in some movements, they were like, I freaking killed this workout. Like, I got to try the intensifier. So it was more of a confidence boost instead of what normally happens when somebody just starts out. They're like, well, I kind of did the workout, but I had to hit the modification a bunch of times, and they almost feel defeated by it, even though they shouldn't view it that way. But as a beginner, you don't know that. It's just kind of like, I only did the modifier today. So it gives them that boost of confidence. And that's really what Clean Week is all about, is getting them through that first week to show them that you can do the simple meal plans and you can work out 30 minutes a day and still see significant results, and you can fit this into your lifestyle. It's not a big before and after program by any means. I'm not looking, I saw one person post like, I'm going to lose 7 pounds in 7 days with Clean Week. And I'm like, I hope not. You look like you've been working out a while. Like, that's not the healthiest thing. So that's not really what the goal should be here. The goal should be more those intrinsic things of, I feel more confident. I feel like I can put this into my lifestyle. I feel like I got on all my workouts this week. Those are the things that they should be feeling by the end of Clean Week, and just be fired up, ready to go into either another round of Clean Week, into one of the other programs. The sooner you can get them into Beachbody On Demand and the other programs, I would say the better. Somebody asked me, where do they go from there? Should I put them into another round of Clean Week? And I'm just like, the sooner they can be inundated by all things Beachbody and have all that it has to offer, go for it. So you've seen all the other 1 week programs come out, and they are kind of reconnection tools for people that are already in Beachbody to see Shaun T again and to get new workouts for him, to see Beast again, to get new workouts for him. So this is more of a new acquisition tool for you guys instead of a reconnection tool. It's to bring these new people in and give them the tools they need to kind of take the first steps. The other thing is the financial part of it. So I always say that there's 3 barriers to fitness, which is financial, it's insecurities, and it's time barriers. So the insecurity barrier goes away because this is a beginner's program, it's accessible, it's doable. So that should really be the first thing that you're just like, hey, you're gonna be able to get through this. Time barrier, 30-minute workouts, like I said, simple meal planning. They're going to be able to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of the week in the kitchen and then be done with that. So it really shouldn't be so much of a time barrier. But the financial barrier would be huge. So I know, to get people into a BOD membership or even into the free trial, they have to put their credit card down. This has been a little bit of a confusion because I see people also posting like, hey, you're going to be entered into this 14-day free trial. If that's what you're entering them into, then they do have to put down their credit card. They don't have to put down their credit card for this program. So if you are entering people into the 14-day free trial and they're signing up for that, that's great. Because like I said, the sooner you can get them into that and see what Beachbody has to offer, the better. But, there's always that barrier for some people that are just like, I don't want to put my credit card down. So with this program, they're going to be able to get the workouts for free. They only have to go through the, make a profile for themselves, basically. They don't have to put in their credit card information. And then they get the meal plan for free as well because you guys are able to share that with them. The Shakeology sampler is what costs the $29.95. You definitely want to have that as your first offer because, like I said, we want to kind of open the doors into all things Beachbody, and Shakeology is a huge portion of that. So you want to get them trying Shakeology and getting in the workouts, and during the workouts I talk about all the other programs, so they're going to hear about what Beachbody has to offer. They're going to see that there's meal plans involved, and that's really the thing where they get the best view of what Beachbody is going to give them. But if they're still like, I don't really want to give you my credit card, they can still get into Clean Week by just creating that profile and still get the workouts and still get the meal plan, still be included in the groups. And that's kind of what shows them, hey, I'm going to get something out of this Beachbody thing instead of, I don't know what I'm giving my credit card up to. So those are some of the big things. If you haven't taken a look at the nutrition guide yet, they get 7 breakfast, lunch, and dinner options. And there's vegetarian and vegan and gluten-free options. So there's definitely something for everyone in there. Did I hit everything? I think so. Do you guys have any questions for me? I know I didn't go so far into Clean Week because I know you guys have been checking it out anyway, so I don't want to waste too much of you guys' time either on Friday. Let me see if I have the chat.
If you have questions and you don't want to unmute yourself, you can put it in the chat box.
Yeah.
I know that for me, I told you earlier that my butt still hurts from day one. And obviously because I've been working out for a very long time, I use the intensifier. But I was like, man, and I went live in my group and let them know, like, don't push yourself if you're very new to working out. Like, it's easy to try to do what everybody's doing. And I said, you don't even have to follow Megan, because I'm still sore.
Definitely. Like I said, they're going to be significant workouts. So it's not like you're going to be going through the program as somebody who worked out for a while and being like, oh, well, this is nothing for me. I really haven't had anybody message me and say it was nothing for them. There are significant workouts. We go at a slower pace for the base move, and people can even go at a slower pace from there if they need to, if they're true beginners. I would also, encourage your new challengers, if they are truly a beginner, to not even use the weights for the weight training workout, because that first week they're going to be sore, they're going to be hurting. So, encourage them not to use the weights, just focus on the muscles they're working, squeezing those muscles. They're going to get in just as good of a workout.
Yeah. And I like the fact, and I know that this probably comes from your group training experience, because when I got certified for group training, we did the same thing, but like showing the move. And this is something new for Beachbody, because I know that they did it. It's the last movie the last one with Shush Shop came out. They showed you the move before you did it, because a lot of them, they don't. And you're like, wait a minute, you've lost, 10 seconds of your workout because you're trying to figure out what you're doing. So I do like that. That's very good.
I didn't even know that was new. It's just
from what I remember, like insanely.
Chris filmed the month before I was there. So Chris filmed in January and I filmed in February, and we kind of like crossed paths in that like little intersection. Yeah. But that's the first time I even met Chris or talked to him or heard about him.
Yeah. He's nice.
No, he's awesome. The first day I met Chris, he like pulled me aside and just said like the most wonderful, like, I can't wait for you to come out with this new program. It's going to be amazing. You're going to help so many people. And I was just like, you're awesome, dude. Who are you?
Yeah, he seems like a genuine guy.
Yeah.
Okay, here. Melissa says, are you going to be making a full program that's longer than a week?
We can hope so. No, I do hope so. In the future, definitely I want to. Amanda has questions, somebody says.
I hate her. Hi, Megan.
Hi.
That's my coach. She's
I had to put that in there because I didn't, shut it. So.
Okay, so Megan, I have 2 questions for you, and I apologize in advance. So I've been doing Beachbody programs for a very long time. I was born with a hip deformity, so I have a screw in my hip. And I've lost a lot of weight doing Beachbody programs, but I did one of your, I'm waiting to do all the workouts because I want to do it with our group. So I did your first one, and there's one routine where it's up, up, down, downs, and I did it on the wall instead of going on the floor. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to actually make a post about that because for some people, yeah, getting down on the floor is just not an option. But modifying as you need is always an option, and making it work for you is always an option. One thing I always tell to my clients, I'm like, I can't be a mind reader, and especially when I'm on a screen, I don't know what's ailing you at this moment, and one day you could come in, you could have something that is always something you have to work around. You could have something that's, you need to work around that day. So I always remind, my clients and people I'm working with to always make it your workout, make sure that you're comfortable with the moves and you're not working through pain.
Awesome. Thank you. And then my second question is, and I know this goes with every program. What about if you're pregnant? Should you be doing this your first trimester? Or what trimester should you stop? Or is that based off of your doctor and what your doctor thinks?
Yeah, that's always the first step, is making sure your doctor is okay with it. They could definitely give you some limitations as far as where your heart rate needs to be and things like that. So the first step is always talking to your doctor. That being said, I've had a lot of pregnant women messaging me saying they went through the program. The only contraindication that I could see straight off the bat is sometimes we're laying on our back, which is a no-no after the first trimester. So other than that, making sure they're drinking a lot of water while they're working out, and not going too crazy, staying with probably the base move instead of the intensifier. But all the moves they should be able to do no problem, because it is a low impact workout.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Somebody says, can we do multiple rounds of clean week, or is it more recommended to do a longer program?
You can definitely do multiple rounds of clean week. I would say, like I was talking about before, the sooner you can kind of graduate them into another program, the better, because that's when they're going to see what Beachbody has to offer. That's when they're going to kind of unlock the doors into BOD and things like that. I would assume the kind of natural progression for most people who are on the fence and just kind of dipping their toe in the water is going to be to do clean week and then kind of get the 14, day trial. If they're really cautious, then that's probably the route that they're going to take. So I would say getting them into the next program as soon as possible is probably the best thing. If they're doing multiple rounds of clean week, at some point they might fall off the wagon and you might just lose them completely. So I would say getting them moving through the process, the faster the better.
I think it's good with all the week-long workouts that we have to, you do it, you move into a new program, and before you move into a newer program, you do another round of it. Kind of like shift up your body. So, if you really like it, do another program, then go back into it for a week, because our bodies get used to it. I know a lot of people are doing multiple rounds of shift shop. So if you're doing multiple rounds, your body's getting used to it. So throw in a week of clean week. One, it'll help your body, even keel because it's a little less intense, but also throw in something else in the mix.
Yeah, definitely. That's what's nice. It can break up some of the other programs and things like that. But yeah, if it is a brand new person that doesn't know anything else about Beachbody, you don't want to kind of lose them for instance, at my gym, we have a Fit Bodies kind of boot camp style workout, and we have a Training for Warriors program. So obviously the Training for Warriors program is more intense. But we had people, it was always supposed to be a graduation program of people from Fit Bodies into Training for Warriors, even though there's plenty of options of modifications and things in Training for Warriors, but it kind of scares people off. It's too intimidating. It's too much commitment. So, so we always meant for that to be a graduation program, but we had this group of people that would just sit in Fit Bodies for as long as we were going to let them sit in Fit Bodies until we were like, all right, you guys got to get out of here. Like, you're way too advanced for this. Like, let's go. We like literally had to like boot them and get them into the other program. So people get comfortable in the thing that they're doing over and over again. And you definitely want to get them into one of the other programs where they're going to learn a little bit more about even the containers or something like that they can utilize in the future.
Yeah. Somebody says, your story with your dad really speaks to me. How do you help someone you love to get the aha moment? For example, I have been on this journey for over a year and hope my husband would see it's for real, but he still has his doubts about it. Any advice?
Biggest thing, I think for a lot of people, having that aha moment like involves family. It involves having that moment of, unfortunately, it almost takes like a health scare or something like that to get some people to be like, oh man, I got to take this seriously. Also for guys, I feel like they see the at-home workout programs and they're like, I need a gym and I need to move some weights. And so a big thing that I would say to that is, write down the Body Beast workouts and get his butt into a gym, and you know, he'll probably kind of adapt to that a little bit better than maybe doing it at home. And maybe that can be kind of the first step into being like, see, it's a legitimate workout program, now we can do it in our living room. Thanks. But yeah, it kind of has to be something where they have that moment that speaks to them. So it's really hard to say, but just being there for them during that time and being like, you know, I'm here when you're ready to make that change, let me know. Because the worst thing you can do is force somebody into it, because they're not making that change for themselves. They're making that change for you. They're making that change for other people. And then they're not going to stick with it. As soon as they make it about themselves and say, I'm doing this for me, that's the moment that needs to be that aha moment where they make the change. But I would say the biggest thing is being there for them when they're ready to make that change.
Yeah. Any other questions? It definitely is hard to have I've been in this business for 4 years and my family's still not on board.
No, I definitely have other friends and family members that are still like, I don't really want to do that. I have plenty of my family members have gotten gastric bypass and things like that. Not that that's like wrong or anything like that, but it's like, I want to help you, and they won't let me. Like,
Oh, it's frustrating.
Yeah. But you know, the more you can just be there for them, and them seeing you do it is going to be the biggest thing. Once they decide like, oh man, like you're really doing this thing and I could be doing this too. Like sometimes that just helps, is them, you know, you leading them from the front.
Yep. If there are no other questions, we'll let Megan go because it's Friday. Well, I'll let all of you go, but we thank you very, very much. It's been awesome. And I hope that this helps a whole bunch of people. If you weren't excited about Clean Week, that I hope you are now. Like, I can't tell you how excited I have been about Clean Week. But
yeah, I mean, it should really be pulling a lot of new people in that didn't think that they could do it or had some sort of misconception about what Beachbody is. It should be able to take all of those barriers down and pull them in and show them that they're going to be able to do this, and kind of giving them that confidence boost into going into some of the other programs. And that's really what it was created for.
Yep. Cool. Well, thank you.
No problem.
Really appreciate it.
Of course.
Have a great Friday.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.